Hi everyone, this is Tanu and I welcome you all to this session of Prop Analyst. Today we are going to have an enriching discussion with our guest, Mr. Shalin Raina. Let me tell you friends, Mr. Raina is a banker turned real estate professional. And in his career span of 20 years, he has been with the leading players in the industry like Standard Chartered, HSBC, JLL, CBRE. And currently, he is associated with Cushman and Wakefield in the capacity of Managing Director, Residential Vertical. So let's start the session with him. Welcome, Mr. Raina.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here.
So we are in the beginning of 2020. So can we just have a quick look at the year went by? So how was the real estate market in 2019?
Okay, so 2019 was expected to be a comeback year for the residential real estate market in India, given the slew of reforms that the government had done in the earlier years. There was RERA implementation to clean up the industry, to have developer accountability, to have completion of projects on time. There was reduction in the rates of GST to help consumers. There was also a very, very significant reduction in repo rates by the government to enable liquidity and also to enable, basically better rates on mortgages for people so that they can buy properties. The year started on a promising note. If we talk about NCR as a market, there were a couple of launches which did perform reasonably well, if I were to say. But as the dust settled and things started happening gradually, the market did not really live up to the expectation. So the expectation was that 2019 would again have a big comeback year for the residential real estate market in India, which did not happen. The reason for that is very simple. As an asset class, the investors are completely away from residential, basically because of the lack of returns which have happened in the residential investments over the last 4 or 5 years. So I think that was one big challenge which the market was facing this year. So I think a large part of it has to be attributed to the sentiments in the market. Now, honestly, the sentiments in the market have been a little down. So if I pick up one market per se and talk about, say, for example, Gurgaon, and we go micro market by micro market, things haven't really happened at the pace they should have had. Dwarka Expressway is still not up and running. The Khirki Daula toll, which was supposed to move ahead so that New Gurgaon could merge into the main part of Gurgaon, hasn't gone ahead. If we look at maybe Golf Course Road is one exception where the infrastructure has moved very quickly, and that's why you see a lot of action happening there. Even if you look at Central Gurgaon, and if you look at areas like Golf Course Extension. Though there are a lot of top-end developers having projects there, the infrastructure is still not up to place. What really otherwise complicated the issue was also the liquidity crisis that the developers faced because of the fact that funds were low and there were not too many banks funding the projects for developers. The government did again put up their hand and they came out with this alternate investment fund of 25,000 crores to basically help last mile funding, but the implementation is still pending. So these are some of the factors because of which, I would say that 2019, though was supposed to be a comeback year, hasn't really done as much as we expected. Yeah. So if I were to give you some figures, the sales in Q4 fell down almost by 30%. If we look at the decline in the new launches, that was almost 40 to 45% in Q4 of the October to December cycle. Also, the inventory did come down though. The shining stars for the year were typically there are two sets basically. One was affordable housing. So affordable housing did well because of the budget range and having more takers for them. And the second was corporate developers. People who basically consumers perceived that they will develop their projects on time. Yeah. And so those are the guys who did well. So all the corporate developers and affordable housing were two shining stars in an otherwise gloomy market.
So 2019 was a mixed bag. Affordable housing did well, few of corporate developers did well to some extent. So how do you see 2020 for real estate?
Well, very, very honestly, I think, I'm a literal optimist and I would look at the market in a very, very positive frame of mind. Though I don't think anything earth-shattering is going to happen overnight and, the market is going to change overnight. But maybe towards the middle of the year, I expect that the market's going to correct and, there will be a positive sentiment which will come in. The reason for that is, there are multiple reasons for that. From a consumer standpoint, the first thing is the government has reduced the repo rates by a large margin. Now, the benefits haven't been passed by the banks to the end consumers. So that has to happen. I'm hoping that the banks pass those benefits to the end consumers, which will help people. It will become more affordable for people to buy homes. Number one. Number two, GST rates which have been brought down will also help people buy under construction properties. They'll cost lesser as compared to earlier days. In addition to that, very, very importantly, the government has to reduce the liquidity crisis which is there. And the implementation of the alternate investment fund has to happen quickly. That is very, very important because, to have a fund is fine, but implementation, if it doesn't happen on a quick note, won't help the market. Other than that, the overall sentiment has to improve. And the sentiment will only improve if the investors come back to the market. So if we implement RERA properly, if projects are delivered on time, then obviously the sentiment is going to come back to normal. So overall, if you ask me, I think 2020 should be a better year for real estate in India. And these are my thoughts.
So government has done major reforms. I'm sure it will benefit, the industry as a whole. And we are aware that union budget will be declared next month. So what do you think? Will it bring any positive outcome for real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. So the government has to treat the real estate industry as a very, very important contributor of the overall GDP contribution for the country, and they have to come out with measures which help us, make it better. They've done one such measure by, having the alternate investment fund, which got implemented last year, which would help ease out the liquidity crunch for the developers. Other than that, what they really need to do, one very important, very critical aspect that the government needs to look at is to give tax benefits to end users. Because if the tax benefits are given, that will make it more lucrative for the end users to invest in the market. Other than that, there are things like reduction in home loan rates, but that has already been done by the government by reducing the repo rate. So basically, the government has to look at the industry more positively, and they have to come out with measures which help us improve the sentiment of the industry, and which will help in obviously getting the sentiment back and getting the things back on track.
Okay, so last but not the least, what message you would like to give to our viewers?
I would say that buying your home, buying your dream home is important for everybody. And the market is still very good to do a residential investment. The only thing that they need to do is do their due diligence right, select the right product based on their budget. I wouldn't say look at frivolous schemes. A lot of developers are coming out with schemes like take a Europe tour and buy a house. Don't look at those schemes. Look at good credible developers. Look at good payment plans which are more genuine, and look at developers which will deliver projects on time. Do your investments correctly, do a proper due diligence on the developers. I think these are the points which are very important. I would say the market's still very positive. It's bottomed out. It's very affordable at this point in time. So given the due diligence is in place, I think it's a great time to invest in residential properties.
Okay, good to hear that. Thank you so much, Mr. Raina, for your valuable insights.
Thank you so much.
Dear viewers, you just heard Mr. Raina. The residential market is very positive for investment. So what are you waiting for? Step out, as he said, do your market research and invest or book your dream house. Hope to see you all in our next session. Till then, take care, stay healthy, stay fit. Thank you so much.